I'm gonna have to stop here and record on these videos while we in the room laughing. We've been having too much fun at Right Choice. Anyways, into the video. You know, if you in a small business landscape, we all know these business owners who always working, always booked, always have a lot going on. So it's hard to catch up with them because they always so busy. But when you finally do, the only thing they can talk about is how they struggling to make money, how much money they have. They always stressed about money. And see, that's the problem with hustle. There's, or let me say it different. There's this hustle culture that I feel like can get you to a certain point, but it can also block you from that next level just as well. Because a lot of problems in business aren't how hard you're working problem. They are profit problems. There's cash flow clarity problems. So that's what we want to discuss in this video. That grinding that gets you to 6 figures is not going to be the same thing that gets you to 7 figures. What gets you to 7 figures is going to be how you strategically manage your work versus how hard you actually work. So I always tell my team, right? Busy ain't a metric. Busy ain't a metric that we track. Busy ain't a metric that we use. It's all about profit. And there's a reason for that. And before I go too deep into this, I'm Albert. Albert C. Hurston Jr., owner, founder, CEO of Right Choice Accounting Solutions. We're a full service accounting and tax firm. We practically do everything from the basics of bookkeeping and tax prep all the way up to tax planning, tax strategy, payroll, all of those things. I run Right Choice with my amazing, beautiful, extraordinary wife, Lauren, and our amazing team. And I mean, they pretty too. Everybody on this team is pretty. I got a team of black women around here. So let's dive into the story because I want to make sure that I can paint the picture. And I think this story is a really good place to start. So I was talking to like a business buddy of mine, right? And he was fired up, just mad, like going off on like, man, I know I'm making all these sales. I'm getting all this money. I'm doing all this stuff. And he just going on and on and on. He's like, man, and I do all that stuff. I'm always slammed. I ain't never got time to do nothing. And then I just feel like I ain't never got no money. I never see the money. I see it coming in and I don't see it going out. And at the end of the day, my bank account just don't ever line up. It's like, I know I'm making a lot of money. And then I was like, bro, like what you describing, you not making a lot of money. So just imagine you going off, you see all this money coming in and then some of it is flying out, you don't know where it's going, blah, blah, blah. And somebody look you dead in your face and be like, hey, you just not making a lot of money. I mean, the way he looked at me literally, if WTF had a face, if you saw WTF in a dictionary, his face would have been right there next to it. It was, what in the world are you talking about? Because I think, and the way I broke it down to him is the same way I'm going to break it down to you, right? If it costs you $95 to make $100, you only made $5. You made $5 just with a lot more stress than just going to get the $5. But it feels good to see 100. We can make it, let's say 100,000. Let's say if you made $100,000 and I mean if you earned $100,000 and it cost you $95K to get it, you only made $5,000. So it would be just simpler and a lot less stress on you if you just did something that made you $5,000. And that's what I think like goes unnoticed with people who don't particularly track the difference between sales and revenue and profit. So that's how people like just identify that they are so busy. And that's specifically why busy don't mean profitable. It can actually mean the opposite. So if you think about it, right? Think about it like this. Revenue just ain't profit. Revenue or sales, this is the top of the line. I'm going to talk about your P&L a little bit, but I'm not going to nerd out too much. But if you look at your P&L, revenue or sales is going to be right at the top. And we can use them interchangeably because revenue and sales are just the money that you actually bring in. Now, profit, and I ain't going to go too deep, but profit is the bottom line. So you got revenue up top. That's the stuff you see in your Stripe account or your payment processor, blah, 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 the stuff that you actually know is coming to you. That's your revenue. That's your sales. And then at the bottom, you're going to have profit. And a lot of small business owners are locked in on what that revenue number is, what that sales number, and then they estimate the stuff between revenue and profit. And that stuff, that's the important stuff to understand. That's where your marketing come in, your bank fees, your advertising, your team, all of these things that are required to get those sales. You have to subtract that out before you even worry about the money. that you actually get, and profit ain't even where it starts. It's really cash flow. I won't go too deep into it, but like even the bottom line of your P&L, there are things that come out of that before it hits your bank account cleanly. Like your loan payments, if you got any car payments, all of those debt repayments, there's several things that happen before you can just say your revenue is the cash that you actually get to keep. And I think understanding that difference, that's the gap between being busy with no money and understanding the things you need to do to actually get money. So business, and I'll say this before I move forward, business is more of an indicator of effort. Like if you're busy, you're working hard. But effort don't pay bills, right? I guess that's the more important thing. Like you have to work in a way that allows you to pay your bills, pay your team, pay for that marketing stuff. And busy or effort just don't allow you to do that. And I know I just kind of keep looking over for the head nods from Crystal and Rachel and Lauren keep peeking in here. I guess she needs something from me. She's gonna have to wait until I finish taping, or I'm gonna have to. She'll come in if it's important. But that's the gist, right? Like you have to understand like what's it actually costing you to get the money you're getting. You have to understand that cost because that's how you know what you're actually making. So at this point, let me look down at my notes to make sure that I'm on track. Rachel was telling me, she was like, man, your notes and stuff is always so good, but you just go so off the dome, you never get most of your bars in there. Did I get all the bars at least this time?
You got the bars.
Okay, I got that. Busy is not a business. Yeah, that's a good one. Busy is not a business metric. Profit is. There's a reason for that. Oh, business is evidence of effort, and sadly, you can't pay the bills with effort. I heard myself say that one. Let's see. Just looking. You know, like most people will edit this piece out. I'm gonna leave it because y'all need to know. Like, I be having reference though too. Like the people who show up and do this without reference, they be going completely off the dome. I just don't believe it. Let me see. So, moving along though, what your numbers are actually telling you. Like you'll hear me screaming about probably every video that I've done on this channel. I've at least mentioned the importance of clean books. And clean books is what turns business into something productive. That's where you take your busy, make it strategic, and busy becomes productivity. Because the strategy is what makes it worth it. Like, there are probably entrepreneurs everywhere that are working 100-hour weeks, 80-hour weeks, all of these crazy weeks, and they could probably have that stuff lower if they would just hire somebody to help them a little bit, or someone to just do the things that they have no business doing. An old mentor and coach of mine used to always talk about, don't be a $5,000 an hour CEO doing $10 an hour task. And I think he got that from a book, but I can't call it off the top of my head. But yeah, I think what we need to do is we need to realize that our financials are not just some type of like report card. They're what we should be using to make decisions. So you need to understand them. And that's where business does turn into profitability. Because if you're busy, you should be really profitable. And if you know your numbers, locked in with your numbers, because there's good reasons to be busy. Like, I work however many number of hours, Jesus Christ, can I talk? However many hours I need to work to actually get there. And I do think we all just a little bit too selfish to operate 100% off how we feel anyways. Because our feelings going to quickly align with what we want. And we really need to just put strategy around that. So that's why we have to get into using those numbers. Because if you don't use your numbers, you're guessing, you gambling. Guessing and gambling ain't something you need to be doing in your small business. And then the biggest thing that I think, outside of understanding your numbers, the second biggest thing I'll say that actually helps you turn busy into profitable, you got to hire a team, right? You got to hire a team from actual data and not panic. This is how you attack business head on. Because something, and I always blame the coaches, the online gurus, something that a lot of small business owners do, they hire a lot of VAs to help them run their business. And it sounds smart because VAs are cheap. You can pay them $7, $8 an hour and get really good talent. If you pay them $10, $12 an hour, you can get the best of the best. And they can do so much. But you don't need to always be hiring help, right? Sometimes you need to be hiring people to take things off your plate. You don't need to hire people who help you solve problems all the time. Sometimes you really need to hire problem solvers. And I will a hill that I would die on is you need to hire a team of problem solvers and get them help. You don't hire your self help. Your help is through the problem solvers that you bring in. And I think just not understanding that basic foundational, because it's just logical, right? If you're doing something by yourself, you can hire somebody to help you do it, or you can hire somebody who can actually come in and do it for you so that you can do something else. And when you're building a business, the highest and best use for the leader is to do what you're best at. If you're a salesperson, you need to be selling. If you're a content person, you need to be contenting. If you're an accounting strategist, you need to be accounting. You have to hire the team that allows you to do that, not help you do everything. Because we got like a VA epidemic. We got a VA epidemic. And sometimes you hiring a VA to help you with ops when you needed a COO to oversee those ops. Sometimes you hiring a VA to help with your... Y'all get it. I ain't got to give y'all all the examples. Some of y'all hiring like remote bookkeeping staff when you really need a CFO. You hiring people to do your books when you need somebody to actually be communicating to you about your numbers. So that busyness don't go away. You just have people help you feel like you're less busy, but they not solving the actual problem that has you busy. It's like you don't necessarily need to be pouring Band-Aids on open wounds. Putting Band-Aids. I firmly believe the only way that you can really scale a business is by the numbers. And the numbers are going to always tell you that you need to be hiring a team at a certain point. Like anything else, again, it's just a guess. If you're not using your numbers, everything is guessing. Because that's the only source of data that you have in business. Everything else is a guess. Everything else are feelings. So I have a few ask and answer type questions I like to throw these at. I need to throw it like, Crystal, you locked in? Oh, I don't even see your... let's see. So... do you have like some questions that people... Matter of fact, no, I ain't gonna put y'all in it. I ain't gonna put y'all in this one. I like doing that for crowd improvement. Crowd involvement. They just be in here trying to mind their business and co-work. You know the crazy thing. Everybody here has their own desk in their own area, but a lot of times we'll all just be in my office working because we, believe it or not, we actually like being around each other. So, you should ask and answer yourself these questions. Ask these questions and answer them for yourself. So I'm going to read them off my list because I did put together a list. So ask yourself, what happens if I'm not here to run my company for a month? Am I out of business? Is there anyone on my team who can make an important decision without me? If I'm having an off day, does that mean my company is having an off day? Am I spending my decision maker budget on cheap help? Because that's another one, and I want to talk about that one a little bit. Like, a lot of people spend the money that they could be putting towards somebody who can actually really help them and solve a problem, and they be spreading it around a bunch of other cheap people. It's like buying the same cheap thing that don't work over and over and just replacing it instead of just investing in quality. Because if you old enough and been on this planet long enough, you already know if you buy it cheap, buy it twice. And the second time, you probably going to invest in the thing you should have invested in the first time. Anyways, so you also want to ask yourself, am I hiring people and still working just as hard as I was working before I hired them? Because that's like the telltale sign that causes business. You're hiring people who aren't actually moving the needle or actually solving the problem that you need them to solve. You're hiring people who make you feel good about the problem because you have help with the problem, but the problem is still yours. You need to pass that off. But these are some of the questions that you need to be able to like quickly answer. And I'm going to bring it back to like the numbers piece because this is more of like what the numbers say, right? And what the numbers say is if we have a leader who's way too busy, we have a leader who's not focused on profit. And that is the biggest thing that any business owner should be focused on. Building a profitable business. So, I hope this was a good one. I'm taking it to the close. I'm at the end, y'all. I just wanted to just kind of give you this because I know this is an accounting channel, but a lot of the things that block the accounting, block the profit talk, block the cash flow talk are things that's internal to the owner. And the first thing that the owner needs to do is free themselves up to think money. If you're not in business and making money, I mean, what you in business for? You might as well, what you in business for? Anyways, busy is easy. It's really great for the ego. It makes you feel very productive, like you actually doing something. But it's a strategic choice, because the very first thing you should be doing is removing things from your plate as soon as you can afford them that don't belong on your plate. And when you get business out of the mix of your business, you can start bringing profit into that mix. Always remember that stuff that gets you to 6 figures is not the same stuff that gets you to 7. Always remember, you want to hire a team that solves problems for you, not a team that helps you with solving problems. And always remember, if you need a consistent conversation like this, Right Choice is over here ready to help. So, I almost got to the end without doing a thing. My bad. Rachel would tell me, Chrissy would tell me, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know if this type of video is valuable as well. It's a little bit of a left turn from what I've been doing, but let me know if you appreciate this, because this does get into like more of the what the numbers are saying about your business instead of just the numbers. So let me know if this is helpful. Subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, as Crystal always reminds me to say. And that is it, y'all. I will talk to y'all soon. Have a good rest of your day.